a couple of exercises to work on that action of widening the shoulder blades across the back. So for the first one, a yoga strap. And I start with it sort of draped across the middle of my shoulder blades. It usually slips around when I'm getting it set up. So there's just sort of a way of kind of tolerating that it might move around a little bit. And then it crosses over the backs of my arms, and I kind of crouch down, bend my elbows, pull a little extra slack of that strap through my hands, and then I'll come back up and straighten my arms, trying to pin that down so it feels really taut across my shoulder blades from start to finish. Knees are below hips, and you can have the toes turned under here, working with a rhomboid push-up, as we call it. So you're going to sink between the shoulder blades, and of course the strap gets very slack when you do that. And you can kind of pause and just feel here that your shoulder blades have shifted towards each other. They might have even been lifted off the back body. And then pushing the hands down, pulling the shoulder blades apart. And as you get to the top of the rhomboid push-up, you want to fill the tension on the strap with the width of your shoulder blades, and prevent yourself from rounding through the spine, especially that mid-back spine. So try to get to the position where you feel like the shoulder blades are as broad as possible, but then you're also pulling the chest forward, because this can kind of easily be mistaken for like a cat and cow spine. All right, so sinking down between the shoulder blades, pressing up. All right, let's count off 10. So going down, there's 1, pushing up and holding for just a moment, and then coming down, here's number 2, slack just gets a little bit dropped. Strap gets a little bit dropped, and then pushing the hands down, shoulder blades pull apart, chest forward. Chest stays forward as you drop between the shoulder blades. There's 3, and coming up. Dropping again, shoulder blades shift towards each other. You hang down, and that's 4, and then coming up. Coming down for 5. Pushing those hands down, spreading the shoulder blades, coming down for 6. Pressing the hands down to get the shoulder blades wide, and then dropping it down here. 7, I'm going to do a little slight pause, shimmy that strap up, it was sliding down. And then coming up, holding wide, but the chest comes forward, and dropping down, here's 8. Coming up, and then dropping down to 9. Coming up, and we'll drop down at 10, and we're going to hold this last one in that up position. So as you push the shoulder blades apart and try to fill the shoulder blades into the back, one more time, I know I'll need the reminder to pull the chest forward so this does not become rounding the spine. It's that shoulder blade movement. All right, let's go ahead and sit on back for a second. You can keep the strap nearby. If you need a little wrist relief, you can bring fingertips and thumbs together, kind of like you're making little bird beaks out of your hands. And then turn the arms inwards, raise the arms up and out. And you could lower and raise a couple times. They're adding some movement, maybe coming forward, maybe going back. But again, it's the arms turning in and you're bunching the fingertips together. All right, so same format of strap, cross the middle shoulder blades, knowing it'll slip around a little bit, holding it taut, pinning it with the hands. And we're going to step back into a plank position. So instead of being on that all fours, the legs go straight, tailbone under just that little bit, and push your mid back to the strap, push your shoulder blades to the strap. And let's do 5 of these rhomboid push-ups from the plank position. So dropping, there's 1 and up. Oh, dropping, there's 2 and up. Dropping to 3, shoulder blades hang together, and pushing up. Ooh, 4, coming down on that shoulder blade, and then coming up, and then here's 5, last one. And as you come back up, really pushing the hands on down, and then knees come on down. And again, we'll take a slight pause, just being off of the hands. All right, so the last exercise we'll do is one where we're gonna slide the blanket underneath the hands. And it's really the inward movement that we're going to try to put our power into, because that's going to be the thing that gets the chest to hold the arms closer together. So when we power through these pectoralis muscles on the chest, the shoulder blades have to broaden to make that happen. So from an all fours position. I'm going to open my blanket. So it's just folded in half. And that way it's pretty thin and pretty wide. And as I come onto this, I'm going to experiment with different widths of my hands. So if I start just with my hands underneath my shoulders, like I normally would for all fours, I can squeeze in and wrinkle up that blanket. My thumbs come together. I'll go back out and I'll say, well, that was challenging, but I think I still had it come in pretty easy. So I'm just going to go out another couple of inches. So my hands here are wider than my shoulders, but they're not completely kicked out, totally wide. And then from there, it feels harder already. I haven't even started it. I'm going to squeeze, yeah, that's probably a good distance apart, my arms in to wrinkle up the blanket. Thumbs basically come together and then sliding apart. And I'm just going to try a little bit wider because I'm feeling daring. And as you work with this, make sure that you're not leaning back, which will unweight the hands, and the hands get too light with that, right? So we want the weight of the chest for the arms. Okay, I got to concentrate for this one. And then when you're ready on the third one, okay, that's probably a good distance coming together and then going out. So try on for size, another distance or two if those three didn't feel like they had the stuff. But I'm going to stick with this third one, which is pretty wide, but I'm sure I could set my hands wider, but I probably couldn't move once I have that. All right, so we'll do a few more. Oh, wrinkling the blanket in and then pulling it taut, moving the arms away, wrinkling it in, moving apart. A couple more. We'll try to keep the elbows straight. So don't try to like elbow bend this one. That'll be your biceps taking over. We really want this to be the top of the chest. And on the last one or two, just lean slightly forward. So you're really putting the weight into the hands and arms and not behind you onto the hips and knees. Ooh, all right, last one. And we'll squeeze on in. All right, and then you can slide that back out. Okay, so those were a few ways to think about getting the shoulder blades a little bit wider on the back. Hope that's helpful.